Alrighty, so let's get started and we will go from there. Alrighty, so thank you guys. First of all, thank you guys for joining us. Of course, we have Ian Simpson and Dara Kearney here joining us to run through this final table of the Falling Star Bounty that we played a couple of weeks ago. One of the reasons I wanted to run this particular table through is, as you can see, we hit the final table 8 of 9 with a relatively small stack compared to the rest of the table. And yet we managed to come through and win this thing. So I'm curious to find out. I mean, the main question is, did I play well? Did I run well? Which one of those two is the most common part of my game in this? So that's kind of that's kind of the main question I'm going to be asking through this. So please feel free to comment as we go. We will run through this and we can talk as we go. If you want me to pause anything or skip forwards, we can do that.
Cool. Sounds good. So we have, 14 bigs here? Is that right?
Yeah, 5 times the pot, basically. Yeah, I think in terms of M rather than bigs. Yeah, I mean, if we were a little bit deeper, we'd open this with a view of raise calling, but when we're down to M of 5, we should just pretty much shove our entire range.
Right.
Do you have a different strategy in bounties rather than freeze outs here, Dara?
Do we cover anybody?
We cover one player.
We cover one player.
Yeah, but the guy behind us is so short that it's going to make no difference whether we raise or shove. He's going to have the same continuing range, so we might as well just shove. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we were like chip leader, I'd be opening more because we can raise call more profitably. But to be honest, by the time you hit the final of PKOs, the ICM tends to be the bigger factor rather than the actual bounties.
I was more thinking in terms of, would you induce the ace king suited there with a min raise, or would you open jam? Do you have a split range with about 14, 15 big blinds there?
No, I just shove my entire range.
Yeah. Okay.
Because ICM is the biggest thing, so it's actually a bigger win for us to fold out something like pocket fours than to be honest, like, there are not that many dominated hands that will shove over or raise from that seat anyway. So, yeah, I think shoving is probably just the best. The general rule of thumb is anytime you can add 20% to your stack with a shove, just shove your entire range.
Fair enough.
That's always good to hear. I know in my and that's I'm sure that's one of my leaks in my game because one of the things that goes through my head at this stage when I've got a small stack compared to everybody else is any move I make potentially ends my tournament. And if I have any chance of winning it, one of the things I have to do is not bust, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more. I'm probably much tighter than I should be in these spots because I'd rather still be around with a smaller stack than not be around at all.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's kind of good ICM strategy anyway. You do have to be a bit tighter in a lot of spots, and you're with a lot of hands, like in that situation, you're not looking to induce action.
Yeah.
Because it's already interesting. The guy limped the button, and we have aces.
Yeah, so we get pretty lucky in this spot, obviously.
Yeah, I would just go ahead and raise here. I wouldn't go all in though.
Yeah, I'd be raising and happy to take the water the streets, try and get my money in multiple bets, flop turn river rather than just an open jam.
Yeah, I think even like as a general rule, when you have aces, what you're trying to do is get about 10% of the stacks, the effective stack in pre-flop, because then you can get the rest in over the 3 streets without having to overbet at any point. And if the guy hits a pair, now if he's willing to snap off with ace deuce, that's a pretty. I need to use my words diplomatically here. That's an unorthodox limp call, but you do see a lot of unorthodox things on.
At these levels too. Remember, this is a €1. Yeah, this is a €1 bounty, right? So.
No, this is interesting because. Sorry to interrupt. The jack.
Yeah, no, go on. Yeah.
With the big blind, essentially all in. One, it's surprising that everyone folded to the button. You'd think there'd be a lot more people interested in trying to get that bounty. And 2, what's our best strategy with a hand as strong as pocket jacks when people go a little wonko for bounties?
Yeah, I would just raise and call a shove, expect to get shoved on fairly wide in this spot. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. That, I mean, guys should at least be limping in this spot with the bounty on the line. I mean, I guess it's not. Well, actually, no, it's just about an average size bounty, so it's reasonable, presumably within the context. Okay, so what?
I actually found a fold. I actually found a fold in that spot when he had the when he shoved on me here.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, well, I mean, we're literally beating nothing.
Yeah, that's sort of what I figured, but.
Yeah, he has to either. I mean, this is not a board. If he's got an underpair, you assume he's just going to check and try and win a showdown. If I mean, he needs to have heart flush draw, I guess. I mean, we're literally blocking all the draws as well. We're blocking hearts. We're blocking Jack 10, Jack 9, King Jack. So yeah, it's sad to have to fold jacks, but good fold.
Yep.
I mean, I'm wondering if pre-flop on that I should have actually been, and again, this is probably my nittiness, but I'm wondering if pre-flop I shouldn't have just reshoved there when the.
No, I wouldn't reshove. I would try to induce action there because, like Ian identified, the whole hand is weird because the big blind is effectively all in, and therefore everybody should be going after his bounty. So that should widen the ranges. So when he opens, he should be pretty wide. You should be 3-betting him pretty wide. So when you have a strong hand as strong as jacks, you want to 3-bet and make it look like you might be just, if you are going to be doing that pretty wide, you should be doing it with your strong hands as well for protection. Then he probably shoves and you call and you get unlucky.
Yeah.
But that's poker.
Yeah. So this might be from. Oh no, this is another one from this table, I think, or was this another table? I think it's another table. Or is this the same table? This is the same table. So let's move forward.
Yeah,
We're
we don't
doing
see
a
the
replay
bounties
here.
anymore.
Yeah, we're doing a replay here, so let's just move forwards on that. I'm not sure why I was replaying that particular hand, but. So at this point, one of my main strategies in a spot like this is I'm obviously trying to get chips, but I'm also trying to survive. So I'm probably folding a lot of hands that you guys are thinking I should be shoving with. I'm going to guess. Not necessarily Jack 6, not necessarily Jack 6, but some of the other ones.
It's one of those spots where the way ICM kind of works is like you still want to remain reasonably active because otherwise you will drift back, but at the same time you don't want to get in confrontations. So the way that normally manifests itself is we should tighten up in early position where we're more likely to run into something, but loosen up in late position, particularly if we can put ICM pressure on the people behind. Now we don't really have a stack to do that with yet, so we just kind of have to play our hands basically.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
It's certainly if you're going to err on the side of one either playing too tight or two playing too loose, it's better to be on the too tight side in these spots.
Yeah.
Love you too. I'm live now, love, darling. Sorry, guys. Just yeah. MZ just wanted to interrupt.
That's okay. She can come in and join.
Yeah, she might be a better analyst than me.
I think we might have David joining us now as well. I'm not sure if he's there or not.
I see DK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm definitely here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Thank you for joining us, David. I appreciate it, and I apologize for annoying you with Skype calls earlier today.
No worries. No, Dara and I were on an interview call, and it ran a little long. So sorry for being so late.
But on the other hand, it probably would have annoyed you anyways, because if I'd have waited, we'd have spent 10 minutes trying to work out the sound issues anyways. So that would have annoyed you. So either way, you're going to get annoyed today. Either way. So
I'd have probably stormed off. So this is probably better. Yeah. Are we live on Twitch?
We are live on Twitch. And,
we are, David. Yeah.
And there's no delay as well, so people can ask questions and chat.
Hey, Twitch fuckers.
He's back.
Yeah, they pulled me back in. I thought I was out.
Your worst nightmare.
At least I'm not on video.
No, yes.
2 days.
I'm the only guy on video today. I saved you guys the trouble of getting dressed.
Yeah. Well, more the trouble of shaving and washing than in simply getting dressed. We weren't getting dressed anyway.
There's no way he washed for Twitch. He doesn't wash for live poker.
No.
We weren't getting dressed anyway, so.
So I'm thinking maybe these are the sorts of hands I should be interested in with an open from the button that this guy that we know is pretty loose. No.
No, I wouldn't. To be honest, like it's one of those spots that even though if you reshove, it's going to work more. It's such a disaster when you get called that you actually have to tighten up. It's one of those weird spots where even though it's going to work more, you still have to tighten up. And,
because hands like King 10 are going to be dominated a ton when he calls.
Yeah,
once
you get called, like you're going to be in really bad shape, and there's a lot of equity in just sort of waiting around in these spots and letting other people bust, and also wait for better situations than King 10.
Fair enough.
But I mean, you still have 80 bigs roughly.
20 bigs,
so,
yeah.
Dara, using it as a kind of a chalkboard exercise, how low would you go there? I'd certainly go a King Queen. That might be as low.
For sure. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I wouldn't go King Jack. Yeah, that'd be exactly my line.
King Jack suited.
Yeah, the push. That might be.
I mean, you can actually call in those spots as well. That's something I've been experimenting with a lot recently. Like hands like King Jack suited make very good calls because when you push, you just kind of run into the hands that dominate you if you get called, or you fold out the hands that you dominate. Well, maybe that's not a given on Unibet, but that's how the theory works anyway. But like by calling, you have a hand which kind of flops very well, and it's pretty easy to play in position. So. But I wouldn't call King 10 offsuit or even King Jack offsuit.
So this is another one that I really like the look of, but I think again that's the same sort of spot. Although maybe something like an 8-9 suited is more.
Had the action folded to you, I think that's pretty close.
Right, but when the guy opens under the gun, I'm probably not doing anything with that, right?
Correct. I actually prefer opening hands like King 10. Offsuit if it's folded to me than 8-9 suited. It's just like you're mostly rooting for folds, or that the blind defends and misses. So you're better off.
Actually.
Oh, sorry, shoving. Yeah.
Like it might be a pip lower than I go, but it's close.
Yeah.
Like this isn't as extreme an ICM situation, obviously, as a satellite, but like. The way ranges change in satellites when ICM is big is the frequencies don't really go down, but the shape of the range changes. And the hands that drop out are those kind of 8-9 suited and lower pocket pairs. And the hands that come in are blocker type hands and hands that have reasonably good equity. Like when you're getting called pretty tight, which again might not be a given here, but if you are getting called tight, you're much better off having a hand like ace deuce than 8-7 suited, because first of all you're blocking a lot of the hands that'll call you, and secondly if you run into something like kings or queens, you at least have the ace, or even if you run into ace king, you still have 25% or whatever it is.
Yeah, makes sense.
So to remind your audience there, this is a final table you made in the last week or so?
It's a couple of weeks ago now. And up until this point, I was actually feeling pretty down on my game this year. It had been running really, really poorly. And this final table seems to have marked a turnaround, at least in my results. Now, maybe it just means that I'm running ridiculously well instead of running bad like I was before. Or maybe I was just running the way I play before, and now I'm running ridiculously good. Who knows? But yeah, it's actually been since this. I've had a bunch of final tables. I've won a couple of events. My bankrolls skyrocketed compared to what it was. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. This was I think 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is a bounty tournament as well, David. So that's why you can see the amounts. So it's slightly different. I mean, the bounties I don't think are too significant in relation to the prize pool on the final table, but still a bit of a factor.
For sure. I tuned in. I saw your aces in the big blind hand. So that was the first one I saw where you sort of fast played that one. I would concur with the lads. But then since then, to be honest, I'd played every hand the same way. So.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's good to know. Yeah, I think I just went a little, I think I just saw the aces and, got stars in my eyes, right?
Well, you found a victim as well. Like, you probably got more out of it than maybe the three of us would have by playing it clever, because maybe he calls, misses the flop, and it goes away, whereas you got all of it. So it worked out in this instance. I let these go myself, but certainly be interested with like a suited wheel ace there more so.
Yeah.
Just a little too weak to fight with here. If we're talking ace 9 off, I'm getting more tempted to shove, depending if I know anything about my opponent, of course.
Sure.
I tend to dislike the 6 through 9 range. If it's ace Broadway or ace wheel, I'm fairly happy with it. But
I really wish we were just a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look
You
at the
hate the idea of
temptation.
having to fold.
Look
This
at this
beautiful
temptation.
Yeah.
I think I actually take the temptation.
I'm wondering how deep for Ian, because I'm thinking I need to be like 100 deep, and Ian's probably thinking, oh, if only I was 25 deep.
Yeah. You got position and 2 green cards. What the fuck more do you need? Look at this. Perfect bluffing opportunity. 3 straight, 3 flush. Here.
But this is going to happen a lot, Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing that can happen is we can hit a pair, and then we don't know what to do as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what to do once we get a pair. Oh my god.
Yeah.
How do you not know what to do when you get a pair? You've played this game longer than me.
Yeah. I mean, and 2 people move all in ahead of you.
Man, you just got to have a plan in this game, dude. You just need to work hard, make plans, win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My plan was to waste a big blind when I folded when I missed that flop. That was my plan on that hand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the call too much pre-flop, but we definitely have to be careful post-flop. We need fairly specific flops. This is there's 12,600 out there, and now there's even more.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I reshoved this.
Just stick it in now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
I mean, the initial guy's just a limp as well. So I mean, unless he's trapping.
Well, I mean, the initial limp is the guy who limp called with ace deuce.
With ace deuce as well, yeah. So we can even get. I mean, we have no fold equity here, but at least
if I was super bladed, if I had the aces of the kings, I would probably, and ignoring the original raise, I probably would just raise to keep them in rather than jamming, assuming that they're just not really going to fold, and just tickle them along when I'm so strong. But
it's going to be very hard to raise any amount of this in committing, though.
True, but maybe not in their eyes if they're limp calling with the ace deuce off. I'm looking to exploit the weaker player, not worry about balancing and whatnot.
So I think this marks the first time I jumped above the bottom.
We cover a couple of stacks now.
Yeah. So there's a couple of chances for booties. And in relation to the size of the tournament, I mean, we're looking at some pretty good bounties on the stacks we cover as well.
What's the starting stack in this tournament?
4,000 chips is the starting stack in this tournament.
And what's the starting bounty?
45 cents on each player. It's a 50% bounty, so you get 75% of that, and 25% goes into your bounty for later.
Okay, so the number we see is the overall bounty.
Yeah, that's their total bounty. So when I do 169, I'm going to get 75% of that right away. 25% is gonna go to my. Okay,
so a guy like the guy who was 133 who just checked, he effectively has 3 starting bounties roughly.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. See, the thing is, like everybody has incredible multiples of starting stack now, but not that big multiples of bounties. So
bounties not too important here.
Yeah, so the bounties really aren't that important.
Right.
The ICM is a much bigger factor now. But bounty tournaments are interesting because early on bounties are huge. Because if you can win a bounty, that's a significant chunk of your buy-in back. But later on, even though they're bigger in absolute terms, probably the biggest mistake people make is they think because the bounty is bigger in numerical terms, they should go after it. But really, it's to do with the relation, the ratio of stack to bounty. So. Yep. Somebody with one starting at the start of the tournament, everybody starts with a starting stack and a starting bounty. That's the same situation as having somebody having 5 starting stacks and 5 bounties, 5 starting bounties. But people often see that as a bigger situation where they should go after the bounty more. But from a mathematical point of view, you really shouldn't.
Right. That's actually good advice. I would not have thought of it that way. So I appreciate that.
Given that this guy is a limper before, I'd be a little more worried that he's legit because I haven't seen him raise too many times. But
that was my thought as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting, just because obviously he in a very small sample here he's shown a tendency to limp. I'd already be figuring some metagame into it. I think most of us would probably shove in a vacuum there, but that seems okay as an exploit maybe against this guy. Although now he's opening all the time, so who knows?
I would definitely at least call.
I think calling is an option as well. Yeah.
I think it's too strong to fold. He's still going to be. I mean, he's on the button. He's still going to be.
We don't need to win too much. Like when we call, we're getting such an amazing price. We don't win to win that often, and our hand is actually pretty easy to play. Like often people think rag aces are tough, but they're not really, because if we hit our ace, we just go with our hand, and he'll almost certainly throw out a bet and try and rep the ace. So.
Can I just say, Dara, that was an excellent explanation of the importance of the bounty in ratio terms to the stack. You should consider writing a book on this.
That's a great idea, yeah.
I think that may be in the works. It's entirely possible.
In the works for way too long. Another 2 hours of my life today went into that damn book.
The difficult second book, Dara.
It's really difficult, yeah. Might just go back to satellites. There's such a simpler world.
Yeah.
Just fold everything.
Big pot developing here.
Yeah. The player Bunny72 there is ends up punting their stack off quite effectively at one point. This might actually be the beginning of it. I'm not 100% sure, but
that's actually one of my aliases. So
oh wow,
makes sense. Yeah. Just too weak. If it was suited, it's probably very questionable as well.
If it's suited, we could shove it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a great raise because it doesn't block. No blockers, and we'd probably be, if we want to play it, we should just shove it, but definitely fold now. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, in part I look at a situation like that and I see that I might have had odds to call even with the raise, because with the raise and the call, that makes it you're like a little bit more than 3-1 to call, right? So you might start looking at odds that way, but it's also a big chunk of my stack. So
Jack Nine's not going to have the equity in a.
Yeah, you're going to be dominated as well. Like, you're not going to hit a pair and feel great about your hand if a lot of chips go in. It's one of those weird spots. Like, a very common league people have is like, if somebody raises from early position and they have a hand like King 4 off in the big blind, they'll fold it because they're not getting great price. But if one or two people call, they'll suddenly call thinking they're getting a better price. But it's actually a much worse call the more players are in the hand than if it's heads up.
Makes sense, because there's more likely that one of the people that call has a hand
is dominating you. Yeah. You're just not going to, like, if you're up against this one player, you're very unlucky to be dominated, and you can kind of write it off as a cooler. But if you're up against 2 or 3 players, you're just asking for trouble calling with hands like Jack 9 or King 4.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Lyle, how much do you multi-table here? Like, when you're playing this, are you 4-tabling? Are you 8-tabling?
Yeah. Generally 4 is my maximum. If I'm streaming, I sometimes the 4 tends to even overwhelm me sometimes when I'm trying to stream at the same time as well. So I'm a pretty low end grinder. I think at this point I've got, we can actually see on the screen I've got 3 tables going at the moment, including this one.
Okay.
So.
I like that fold. I think
that's definitely a good fold.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's a mistake a lot of people make. They think they see a reasonable ace and they just go with it, but like, we're far too early there.
Yeah.
Just too many people to run into.
Yeah, I think if I'm ace jack, ace queen, I'm definitely going with that. But yeah, in the middle,
sure.
in the mid range aces, I'm not interested. Even ace deuce, ace 3.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're in later position, it's much more likely if you have an ace that you have the best hand. But when you have a lot of players to go through, you'll be dominated a lot.
That was one I thought a lot about.
Yeah, that one's definitely a spot.
Yeah, I'd probably min raise that and try.
I would min raise as well. Yeah. I think min raising is probably the best play, because if you get played, if somebody 3-bets, you have a very simple fold, and if nobody raises you, there's an excellent chance you have the best hand, and it'll work as a steal sometimes as well. So
there's a lot of exploitation with an open like that. You're going to get, like, if somebody's right behind you, even the next 2 or 3 seats, and they've got ace jack, they have to fold. So you're exploiting a lot of hands with an open there.
Yeah, you can actually get better hands to fold. That's a good point.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of the things I'm thinking when I've got a stack size the way I do, and there's 2 other players that are very similar to me in this stack, one of the things I'm thinking is if I open and have to open fold, I've just basically taken myself from 6th position down to 8th position. And that's something that I think about. Maybe I shouldn't be thinking about that, but
that's a consideration for sure. But the other problem is that if you keep folding, you'll blind down to 8th place pretty quickly anyway. So
True.
You kind of have to go for those steals when they. Now you need to be judicious about it. Like ace 5 suited in that seat is a much better spot to go for it than the ace 8 offsuit earlier.
Right.
So like I wouldn't switch to a strategy of every time you have an ace opening. But if you the other thing about, like, if you're sticking to the suited hands is you are inherently keeping your frequencies down anyway, because there are 4 times less or 3 times less suited aces than offsuit aces. So you won't be opening too much, but you do still kind of have to keep a little bit active. Otherwise, you'll just blind down a lot.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, that feels right on the line to me.
Yeah, I definitely pump it in a king 7 there, king 6, king 5, feel close.
Yeah, I think in a sort of, if everybody at the table is playing perfectly, we're supposed to shove that hand, but I don't mind folding.
Yeah, I don't think I really thought about a hand like king 5 in that spot. Although on the button, you're right, I should be thinking a little bit wider.
Yeah.
If anyone in chat has questions about any of the hands, feel free to fire them over, and we'll happily take them.
Yes, please. Yes, please. You guys should be able to see the chat that's happening on the
I can see it,
screen. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm actually not seeing the screen I'm sharing, so I don't know 100%. But you guys are seeing my OBS, my full OBS screen, right?
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, looks like we've got a shove here.
This could definitely be a shove if it comes to us, yeah. I mean, we're not loving it, but...
I'm not sure why I folded that. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I have no idea why I did that. Let's actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pause this for a second. We're going to go back. Let's listen to me talk about this hand and figure out why I did that. It might have just been that I wasn't paying attention to the hand. So let's actually listen to what I have to say about the hand here. Let's go.
Sure, good idea.
A little bit. This isn't even a once in a 50-year occurrence. This is like a once in 100 years. Oh yeah, I'm going on about COVID stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
The pocket five's contagious, are they?
Not the sort of thing that you tend to have in your contingency plans if you're a...
Yeah.
I was just not paying attention.
Yeah, we don't love it, but the thing is, like, we're folding the best hand a lot of the time when we fold in this spot, and when you're sort of at this stack depth, you don't want to be folding the best hand, and we can also get a lot of hands that are in good shape against us to fold by shoving ourselves. So kind of have to, any pair in that spot really is good enough to shove.
Yeah, sure. We can just flip and win and double and get on with it.
Yeah.
So,
no, I agree with you. I actually I'm surprised to see that. I hadn't seen that one before when I ran through this. I'm surprised to see I folded that. Even I'm not that
shoved this. I would have shoved this if it had come to us, but once there's an open, it obviously changes as well.
I really dislike King 9 because there's just so many ways that you're in trouble. Even when you flop the apparent nuts, it's not the nuts, right?
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, you can really only just shove the hand. It's never going to be a call, and it's just an open shove. It's not a reshove.
And this is too early, I think, even though it's suited. I think it'd be too early to.
Yeah, I mean, this might look like the same kind of hand as King 9 suited, but it's actually significantly worse. So, like, even on the button, it's probably close enough. But when we're coming from early position, we really like having blockers. So an ace is obviously the best blocker, but a king is the next best blocker, and then everything else is pretty much useless as a blocker. And we also have having equity against strong hands. Like King 9 suited is going to be in okay shape against hands like Ace Queen, Ace Jack, etc. Jack 6 not so much.
Yeah, no, that makes good sense. And we really shouldn't be thinking about suited hands. Obviously, this is just an open shove with my stack, I'm assuming.
Yeah, as I said, anytime the rule of thumb is anytime you're adding 20% to your stack, there's 12,000 out there, so 60,000 or less, we should just be shoving our entire range.
Yeah.
I might, on a table like this, go for the exploitive min opening, to be honest. I feel like that was a bit of a gift from the poker gods on a final table, and I might live a bit more dangerously. But it's very much suspicious to a good player. So you have to be targeting the right sorts of players to do that.
Yeah,
I think I think we're also finding out why you're constantly complaining about your kings getting dogged.
Well played.
And by the way, hello to everyone in chat. We've got quite a nice little passenger compartment filling up here on the mothership. So thank you all for coming out and listening to this.
Yeah, very nice. Dark Angels there. I'm going to guess Geo Edinburgh is George Devine, since George is from Edinburgh as far as I can remember.
Lots of the regulars in chat too.
Oh yeah.
Good to see everyone. If we're suited, can we jam this if it folds?
Yeah, we definitely can jam this for sure.
Yeah, I think if it folds.
Is seen as the issue.
Huh?
It's 9-3 for 4 more big blinds for the issue.
Yeah, that would be a nice flop for us as well.
You'll be punished.
Yeah, you guys better you guys better hope those checks clear, because there's a real good chance they won't, guys.
Bank of Elrond might not be a legit enterprise anymore.
Visceration asks, why can we jam the 8-4 suited? We were referring to if it folded all the way to us, and we were in a small blind, so we only had one player to beat. So we're going to force him to fold a big chunk of the deck.
Yeah.
And it does call. It does suck, but we are suited and just connected, so it's not like we have no hope of winning the hand when we are called.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll probably have 35-40% if we get called. So when you factor in all the times they fold, like when they get dealt a hand like Jack Deuce, they're going to fold, and that's a great result for us.
Yeah. And also, given the fact that I've got like 65-70% of his stack, it means that he's going to have to fold a pretty wide range of his big blind hands when I shove there, right? Because he can't just call off because I kill him, pretty much.
Wow. Is Jack 8 raised called?
Yeah, Jack 8 raised called. Bunny. This is the beginning of Bunny's. This is the beginning of Bunny's downfall.
Yeah.
Oh, no, poor Bunny.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit more wiggle room now. 23 big blinds, give or take. 22 maybe. So I'm definitely going to, if it folds to us, I'm definitely going to min raise this suited ace.
Yeah, same.
With Bunny raising, I'm tempted to call, given they just played Jack 8 off from similar position. I kind of want to target Bunny as being a recreational player and play more pots with them.
And I think that's exactly what OG said.
I don't even hate 3-betting because there's 25,000 out there and we have 120,000. So it wouldn't be a terrible spot given how light Bunny is. I mean, Bunny is definitely chasing the bounties.
Yeah.
Relentless.
Yep. Like I said, they executed a pretty flawless punt during this over the course of like 3 or 4 hands.
Yeah, I don't hate the hyperactivity from Bunny given this stack size, but I do hate the calling off hands as weak as Jack 8 and Ace Deuce. That's just
Jack 9.
That makes it very easy to play against. Like people might say, "Oh, it's great, it's very aggressive poker," but it's pretty easy to just sit and wait for a hand, and that's all you really have to do in those spots.
Yeah.
If you take a close look on your screen there, guys, particularly in the Twitch chat, you'll see Bunny has a very particularly kind of glazed over eyes there. Can you tell me what other player you know who can sometimes experience
crazy eyes?
Jack 2.
Yeah, Bunny came to play.
I think at this point my comment was any hand with a jack in it, and Bunny's willing to go with it.
Or maybe the deuce. I mean, we saw the ace deuce snap before.
True.
So
Yeah. So that was Bunny's fall from grace.
Yeah, I like this open. This is good.
Same.
Thank you.
Obviously, we're going to be raise folding if somebody piles on us, but it's fine to open this hand.
Great hand to raise fold with.
Yeah,
and we're down to 6-handed now as well. So
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I c-bet this and take it down if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is a hard board to hit. Like there's no flush draw. There's, 6-7, I guess, and 6-3 are the only open enders. So yeah, I would c-bet.
Yeah, I guess I checked that one back. It turns out. Do I give up here? I probably give up here. I probably do. Knowing me, I probably do.
It's not a brilliant spot. I mean, our king high will be good sometimes, and we do have a gut shot, but we have to hit that gut shot to feel good about our hand on the river.
Yeah. We are blocking hearts, but it's not a great block, right?
Yeah, I think we could have solved that problem by just c-betting the flop.
I agree. I think a c-bet on the flop there is what I need to do.
Yeah. And you can go really small with that c-bet, Lyle.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point. Sizings can be really, really small on final tables.
So did you just check and see a flop here?
Yeah, I think we're strong enough to check and see a flop. If we're really weak, if we have 7-3 offsuit, I don't mind attacking and just trying to blast them off a marginal hand. And balance that by raising my really strong hands too.
Yeah. I'm obviously continuing here with the pair and the flush draw.
We back into a middling strength flush.
Yeah, not a great flush. I could probably never raise there, but do I ever value bet this?
No, I mean, this is the fourth not low flush. There's far more flushes that beat us. So, you need to be getting called. You need to be ahead more than half the time when called. So, I don't think you will be with this.
Yeah, I think that the 10 of clubs is the interesting one there. I think Jack of clubs, we'd certainly go for some value. 10 of clubs is probably, around the place where we have a decision of whether we want to do it or not.
Makes sense. I think that's what my thought was at the time as well. I was looking at 7 going, there's really very little I beat if he's got another club. It's going to be bigger than mine most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. You do have to be ahead more than half the time. So when you're called, so it's hard to find too many hands that will call that are worse than ours.
Good fold. Could be tempting to open there, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, definitely good fold. Yeah.
Joining the fold.
I think if it's suited, I'm probably more likely to go with it. But offsuit, I'm not. Yeah.
If you had information that your opponents were particularly tight or particularly passive, you could think about opening it, but don't think we have that information yet.
I tend not to put too much stock in the suited cards. It's something that I think about as a second or a third component of my hand usually. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody else, but it's if it's nice cards, then I'll look at whether it's suited or not, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, suitedness is nice. It's nice though, not just because you can win the hand more often, but also you'll flop equity. You'll flop a backdoor flop. Like when you have 2 suited cards, you'll flop a flush draw, I think it's 10% of the time you'll flop a backdoor flush draw nearly always. And there are spots where you can bet. Like you want to set your ranges up in such a way that you can be aggressive on later streets as well, whether you hit or not. And having the suited cards in your range is kind of one way to do that, because you'll hit a lot of flops strong enough to be able to continue.
Yeah. So we come back after the break with kings in front of an open. So we just shoved with given the stack sizes, I think.
Seems fine. 20 big blinds. Yeah, can't be complaining.
There should be a decent amount of calls in Freeze My Ass's opening range here as well, so it's a good spot to win a big pot here.
Yeah. Freeze My Ass is a fairly regular player at these levels as well, so we've played against each other a fair bit. I'm also in a recognizable avatar, so people are going to notice me.
Yeah, they'll know you.
Yeah.
Just min raising, yeah. Not folding if I get jammed on. Fun flop for 8s.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to tell us you weren't folding. Ian. You have two cards.
Do I ever have to?
Two cards higher than a 4. When are you ever folding?
Did you guys call it off there?
I would call it off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, always. It's going to be exactly that type of hand a lot, and he can also have a flush draw, a 6.
We're going to do a naked 6 a bunch, yeah.
Yeah. We're pretty much going to be ahead most of the time here. And even if we're behind, we still have the back door, or we have the backup of the gut shot.
Makes sense. So I think this is about the time when I started to think I could potentially win this tournament. Up until this point, I was pretty much sure I was going to end up like 6th or 5th or something.
No, you've accumulated well. Gotten yourself up 3 or 6 now, so yeah.
I think the point where Ian starts thinking he's going to win the tournament is when he regs.
Yeah. Why would you reg if you didn't think you were going to win?
Yeah.
There's an Irish player, Chris Dowling, who once told me that as soon as he builds in any way a big stack, like even if he gets like 3 starting stacks early on day 1, he starts looking up at the prize pool and going, wow, like 80 grand. Jesus, what would I do with that?
How would I spend it?
Mentally spending it, yeah.
Feels weird not to be playing poker today, actually. That's the weird part. I actually it's one of the things I wanted to say was thank you very much, guys, because, well, I'll play when we're done here, I'm sure. I do know you guys could be off making lots of money on the poker tables rather than sitting here looking at me play a €1 tournament from 2 weeks ago, so I very much appreciate you guys taking your time out to help me here.
You're very welcome, dude.
Indeed.
I could be drinking gin.
You could be.
You still could be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not sure you still are, David.
Feel free to pour one there, David, if you want.
I recognize your gin voice.
I am jumping in the Irish Open in about like half an hour or so.
Ah, cool.
You're just waiting for the nice soft table to open up.
I know you're doing the same thing. We'll
Of course I am.
into the same one.
We talked about this. Yeah, well, I learned the hard way when the first side event I played, which was a €265. I somehow found myself on a starting table with Peshka de Silva, Shilabel, or how you say that name, Kenny Hallert, and 2 other absolute beasts as well.
Can you rewind to this King 9 suited hand, please?
So yeah, okay, hang on. Let's where are we here? Well, I may have lost our place. Yeah, I think I lost our place.
Oops. While you're finding your place, Spurs has a good question. Spurs says, sometimes I find I occasionally don't see better flop 100%. Seems like I'll just get played back at and exploited. To be honest, this rarely goes well, and players think, no way I can have it. I think this is a micro thing. As long as you have a solid range, 100% c-bet seems to work. Guessing this is not possible at a higher buy-ins. At smaller buy-ins, c-bets work disproportionately. But even in higher buy-ins, there's still spots where I'll bet 100% of the time. Just because my range of hands on a particular flop is so much better than an opponent's range of hands on a particular flop. Let's say I open from mid position and only the big blind calls, and the flop comes ace deuce deuce. I'm probably gonna have a big range advantage on this board, so I'm gonna bet it every single time, more or less, maybe 99% of the time or something, and bet really, really small since I'm betting so often. And it definitely works often enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, range advantage is crucial, because when you have the range advantage, if you do get played back at, it means you'll actually have a strong enough hand to continue enough at the time that people can't just do that going, well, you're c-betting 100%, therefore I'm going to check raise 100%. They'll actually end up exploiting themselves if they do that. So long as you're disciplined enough to keep folding when you don't have it and continue with the hands that you're supposed to continue with.
You ditch your 6-7 suited that you attack with, knowing that you've got ace king, ace queen, ace jack, etc., that you can put them in the box with.
The shock for me is that you don't consider every flop 100% c-bet anymore these days.
Anymore.
I remember Classic 80 from 2011.
Classic. Oh, he had so much more fun playing this game than any of us do nowadays. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So Ant-Man asked us to rewind this ace queen pre-flop again.
Sure.
And watch it. Where I decided, and I'm pretty sure the reason I did this is because I'm in position. I've got a hand that flops really well potentially after the flop. So rather than rather than raising and pushing him off the hand, I just call here to try to get value after the flop.
I'm definitely raising.
I'm definitely raising too. Yeah, you want to bump up.
Yeah, I mean,
we're in position. We have a super strong hand.
Well, but it doesn't play that well, because if the two blinds come in, suddenly we're 4 away, as we are now, and we're basically going to have to flop a pair to win the hand, which we're only going to do 30% of the time. If we raise, force them out, and the guy calls, when we both miss, we're still going to win. With a c-bet. So yeah, I think it's better to raise in this spot.
So then when the flop comes deuce 3-4 and he overpots it, there's obviously nothing we can do here, right?
What the heck? What is happening in this hand?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know what I don't know what he's trying to represent with the overpot there.
I'm pretty sure he's just limped jacks and panicked about how connected.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has an overpair there, and he's gone, oh, this is not the board I wanted, and
he's just panicked
to force everybody out. Yeah, I mean, we probably have 2 overs and a gut shot.
Mick the Mod, that's what it is. My wife. I'm wondering why my wife's clapping. And it's 8 o'clock. We're just clapping for the NHS.
Because you found new friends, and she doesn't have to deal with you anymore.
She's applauding her own fortune.
It's the NHS.
It's the NHS.
Yeah, right. The NHS clap time. Gotcha.
And Boris, of course, gets a clap as well, isn't he, Ian?
Not from me, no. But we'll not talk politics right now.
We're on dangerous ground now.
Anyway, back to the cards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you guys heard when I folded the 5s there, we do get political here on the Mothership, so it's.
Dara, you jumping into that one?
Into which one?
There's a new 7-handed table opened up.
Oh, no.
It's got Chris Honey in it. Don't want that.
Definitely don't want that.
Martin O'Lally, Unibet Open champion, is there.
Right. Okay. Starting to get more interesting.
Do you guys know if Feraldo bagged a stack yesterday? I watched part of his stream, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, he had 4 starting stacks.
Cool.
Nice.
It was a good stream.
Sick numbers yesterday. They got over 800 yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good stream. It was fun to watch. I was there for 3-4 hours at the beginning. but then I was off doing other things. So as we start getting down lower in players here, so 6-handed, 5-handed, how much should that be affecting? Like, obviously, I mean, at this point, under the gun is only under the gun when you look at it from one position. It's like one before it's one before the hijack from the other spot, right? So how do you look at that? Do you look at it as under the gun?
The fact that no, it's you're in the hijack. The fact that the guy is short, I would fold this hand normally, but because you've got the 23k stack out there, who might flick it in, and that is a bounty. And you got a good price now against this guy too. It's kind of interesting to open this hand. I don't know. What do you think, Dara?
Yeah, I personally wouldn't have opened it.
No.
The small pairs are very deceptive in these spots. You basically get sucked into these situations. I think we're probably supposed to call off now, but it's not a great spot.
No.
So we basically opened a hand that had literally the two worst blockers.
I only open those on tables where there's lots of 20 big blind stacks, or where there's lots of shoving stacks if I'm willing to call the shove.
Yeah. So I want to qualify that actually. I wouldn't have opened that hand, but if the guy with 23-7 had 24, and then him shoving would have been an open raise, and the threat of that would have been there for everybody else, I'd probably do min open.
Right.
That's interesting, yeah.
But actually, it would have been a closed raise, so I wouldn't have.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't min raise blind v blind either, unless my opponent's really weak. If I'm gonna raise blind v blind, I want to put a fair bit of zip on the bet. I want to put some decent size on it, because being out of position, we definitely want to chunk a fold equity, and a min raise isn't going to give us enough.
So something like 3x, 3.5x?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. It's good to know. Part of my thought is that with the min raise, I'm losing the least when I raise fold weak hands. So, but I also get that I'm probably losing more often when I do it that way, because it's easier to raise over top of my open, right?
When you're ready, we want to call in position and just play a pot with with a big advantage over you having the positional advantage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when you're adding weak hands to your range, you're better off adding like suited aces, because again, blockers and all that, and you're not folding away very much equity when you fold to a 3-bet. But they're kind of the better hands to do.
So another fairly lucky spot here with the kings.
Yeah, just min raise like we have been. Don't want to give anything away by raising bigger.
That was my thought.
Yeah. King Queen. Raisey Daisy.
Oh,
wow.
Yep.
Elron.
Yeah, I'm super nitty, right?
Yeah, really nitty.
Yeah, I do feel like that's one that I should open.
For sure, yeah. We got to loosen you up.
Well, and I mean, just watching this back again, I can see, even before it happens, I can see the hand, and I know what I think I did, and I know it's wrong already. So it's
well, that's good then. Because I do the same. In the heat of the moment, you do things that when you look back on it, you think, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why'd I press that button?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why you do these reviews.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Catch the mistakes.
And we flopped bottom pair here, so it's a weird spot for us, because we don't actually have any sort of a hand that beats anything, but...
Yeah, we don't have any improvability, really.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even that happy when we make 2-pair with this hand. So, Yeah, folding's probably best, even though we got a huge price there. I think the fold is a shrewd move in that spot.
Good to see everybody there. I'm going to step away from the keyboard for a second while I grab a drink of water, but I will be back, and my headphone will be on, so I'll be able to hear what's going on anyways.
No problem. Look how pretty this sound is. Don't tell me you find a fold here, boys.
It's quite close. I probably do.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how could you resist?
I guess because we have to call off the two boys, and we're obviously not going to be in good shape against them. But it is a good price, and I don't think the bounties are worth chasing really now. Now that we've got this stack, we have a really good shot at top 3.
Yeah.
That's probably like at least €16. Bounties, chasing a bounty of €1.20 doesn't seem great.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think it's.
For the record, I'm not chasing the thrill of the bounty. I'm chasing the thrill of flopping a flush draw.
Oh, that's right.
Ian just sees green and wants to put his money in.
Oh my gosh, any two suits is just gorgeous.
I feel like ace 3 off is another one that I could potentially be getting involved in under the gun.
Yeah, not quite.
No. Okay.
Suited, sure. Suitedness. I mean, you say suitedness is only a sort of a small factor in your hand selection, but I'd much rather have ace 3 suited than ace 9 off.
Yeah.
Definitely in that spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So yeah, we ended up playing 6-handed pretty long here, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay, guess we just check. And
Backdoor spades, so we check here, I think.
Backdoor straight draw as well, but
Yeah.
what are we getting? 5-1?
Yeah, I think I might think more about that in future, but
If I'm going to do something now, I'm going to check raise though, and barrel when I improve on turns.
right.
Again, it's because this one big blind bet does seem a little just.
Maybe I can steal this.
Button clicky. Yeah. I limp the queen 6 suited here. I overlimp from the small blind. Queen 6 off, I just fold with the suited hand. I'll definitely call and try and see a flop out the small when there's a limper in.
Right. So this is definitely an open.
Oh yeah, playing this hand for sure.
Oh my god, yeah.
Even after somebody min opens.
I'd probably 3-bet jam it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking now as well, and I really don't know why I didn't do that, but I think again I'm looking at his stack, knowing that he can take me out of the tournament too. So I think that's part of it, and I'm playing scared. I know, especially watching this now, I know that playing scared is I'm losing opportunities where I could be picking up chips.
Yeah, you've got to face your fears. 3-bet jamming is a very powerful tool around 20 big blind stack.
Yeah.
Because typically people aren't calling correctly, so you can get away with murder with 3-bet jams. when people aren't calling you off correctly.
Yeah, and at these levels, it's going to be even less correct. It's going to be
for sure.
Yeah.
They're going to call way too well. I don't know. Some players will call way too loose. Some players will call way too tight.
Yeah.
And either mistake works well for us.
Yeah. How often would you put in a raise with that? Try to just take it down.
Sometimes.
I would never. Like I'd have a more polarized range in the sense that like I have the really strong hands that I'm happy to get re-raised with, and I have the really weak hands that I don't care if he re-raises and I have to fold. But 7-6 flops so well, it'd be really sad to get limp re-raised. I mean, I guess it depends on how often the guy though is actually limp re-raising. I mean, against somebody who never limp re-raises, then by all means put pressure on.
Yeah. So on this turn, when I've got the bottom end of the up and down straight draw, but the 10 is actually not a great card for me, right?
I mean, it's not brilliant, but heads up, you'd be unlucky for him to have a queen.
Yeah, I probably find the fold on this card because I don't know. Obviously, our spades and our clubs mightn't be.
Spades or clubs mightn't be good either, yeah.
So I just feel like we're at the bad end of dirty outs. We are getting the right price if all our outs are good, but like we don't know if they are, and we probably need to create some implied odds. And I'm not sure we get paid either. The board straightens. Obviously a 5 of diamonds is a great card for us, and we probably do get paid. But we could be behind Queen 10 already. So I like fold.
I think I might raise here sometimes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's much more interesting.
Yeah, that would be sort of as a semi-bluff, right?
Yeah, I feel our hand isn't quite strong enough to call, and sometimes when we have a hand that isn't quite strong enough to call, we can raise because he's bet like one big blind effectively. So I think there's a reasonable chance he's basically has a hand that can't take very much heat. He might also have spades or clubs. So I think my plan here would be raise, and if he calls and we get a red card on the river, I would bet again with the view of getting him off either spades or clubs.
Yeah. Piano Cat has an interesting question. So when we folded the ace-10 suited, I said the 3-bet jamming is a powerful play to take down the pot. Piano Cat asks, how wide should you be 3-bet jamming in these spots?
You can't really go super wide unless it's an exploit because the guy is like way over folding. You definitely like having an ace in your hand because it makes it less likely you're getting called. And also, if you're running to kings or queens, you have some equity. So I wouldn't go super wide, but it's still any decent ace I'd go with.
Yeah. So suited aces, pairs, big Broadway cards.
Yeah, Broadway cards as well, and obviously pairs that are good enough to have enough equity.
I think this is an interesting spot, blind on blind as well.
Yeah.
Is this small? Should I be opening smaller, or should I just be open shoving?
This is great.
No, I like to shove here for sure.
Love the shove.
This is quite an ugly hand, but it has decent what we call raw equity in the sense of like it's ahead of a lot of hands, and he's going to have to fold a lot of hands as well. So yeah, it's a good spot to put pressure on. And if we do run into ace queen or ace jack, so be it. We still have 35-40%.
Yeah.
And when he folds, he's probably giving up like 40% equity a lot of the time, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you can't be too results oriented in these spots. Like a lot of times when if you're watching on Twitch and somebody does that and they get called, you'll see Twitch chat go crazy and say like, "What are you doing shoving a hand as bad as King 9?" People tend to remember the spots where you get called and you're not in good shape. But like, there's all the times you do that, and exactly what we saw happens, and that's where the real profit of that play comes from.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So, in a spot like this, 6-handed final table, what is your open percentage when it falls to you in the small blind? Are you pretty close to 100%, or are you guys going to be lower than that?
Lower than 100 for sure.
Yeah,
lower than 100, but not too much lower, to be honest. I'll be limping a lot as well. So
right, okay.
When you're limping, you only have to put in half a big blind into a pot that will be close to 3 big blinds. So you obviously have to protect yourself by limping some really strong hands as well. But yeah, it's a pretty good spot.
Oh, that's a ladder?
Nope, not quite.
No, sorry.
I thought so too at first. I was like,
David's getting tired of 6-handed already.
Yeah.
David's all about 5-handed.
Dara, I found my table in the.
Oh, did you? Did you get a good one?
I just waited for the name Paul Carr to appear.
Former runner-up.
Still has the money.
Mm.
And again, that's just another shove, another open shove, I would guess, with 20.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when he's down to 7 big blinds, we should be just shoving everything we're going to play anyway. So we pick up a third of his stack when he folds, and we have a decent hand as well in this spot.
Definitely.
And he's looks like he's disconnected.
Makes the play even more profitable.
Yeah. I always feel a little bad when they're disconnected, but
I never feel bad.
No.
Happens to me enough. All comes out in the wash. Spurs says he loves the 3-bet jam, but it's working a lot less often since the lockdown gang have joined the poker community.
Yeah, for sure. You're seeing such live calls now. It's unbelievable.
It's true.
Yeah, the streets are fun right now.
yeah, no, it's definitely true. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why my success has gone up the last couple of weeks as well, is that there's a lot of weird play going on out there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in these situations as well, it sort of pays to. Dara made the point maybe 2 weeks ago, I think, in something he wrote, that it's kind of a bit like 2014 or 15. And when you think about what you did in 2014 or 15, you probably played more tables, more willing to be a little bit more on autopilot because there was so much equity to gobble up. And I don't know if anyone else has kind of made the same adjustment to maybe adding 3 or 4 extra tables if they were 10 tabling or whatever it is for that reason.
I might try a couple extra as well and see if it adds to my rates.
Have you been playing more tables, Dara, or are you kind of staying roughly the same as normal?
Roughly the same as normal, to be honest. I had kind of come down all the way to, a lot of the time I was only 8 tabling. I have gone back up to 12. I've never less than 12 now, unless I'm playing something really big like the Irish Open.
Yeah.
Then I'll come down all the way to 6. But yeah, most of the time I'm 12 tabling. At peak, I might get up to 15 or 16. Because you know yourself, a lot of tournaments start around the same time, or the late match ends around the same time. And there's like an hour in the middle of your session where you are a little bit rushed. But I definitely don't play as well with 16 tables as I do with 12 or 8. But it's a trade-off basically. I feel like those games are additionally profitable, so even if I'm making some mistakes, I'm still profitable in the game and gives me more chances of making final tables and deep runs. So
well, if you're 10 or 15% worse, but you've got twice as many spots to win money, it works out, right? The math works well on that.
Yeah.
Unless you were only 15% to begin with. But that is a real factor because the games have gotten skinnier. So what essentially that is the calculation people have made, which is that if they were a 30% winner, they could afford to add tables if it only dropped them down to 20% if they could add enough. But if you suddenly found yourself in very skinny games that were 10 or 15%, then adding games and reducing your ROI by 10% so that it's 5% or nothing at all is obviously devastating. Then you're basically playing for free. So you do have to make those kind of judgments as an online player.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Two good jams back to back there. The small blind and the button.
Yeah. It's good to keep the pressure up. I do feel those players are definitely overfolding as well. I mean, maybe they just got dealt 7 deuce a lot, but
at those stack levels, they should be getting their money in really light. I would think, right? They should even be calling my shoves pretty wide.
Yeah. Question from Mick DeMod in the chat asking me if I ever considered streaming on Twitch. I did at different points, but it felt like I just didn't have enough time to do it properly. I don't like sort of half-assing something, and I feel if I was twitching at the moment with everything else that I'm doing, I probably wouldn't be able to give it full focus. But I wouldn't rule it out completely in the future. At some point, I might, when I have more time, give it more focus.
Dark Angel asks an interesting question in regards to disconnecting. Would you still steal the blinds and bets even if they got disconnected when you were heads up?
Fuck yeah, as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah.
If it's Ian, yeah, for sure. If it's David, I might ring him up and tell him, David, you disconnected.
Oh my God, that's some sort of skullduggery.
Actually, I'll give a shout out here. NMP, who might be in the chat here, rang me up the other night. I was having problems with the lobby on Unibet. I think when we were at full tilt on Sunday and there was a lot of action, the lobbies kind of have a funky feature where they all come out level 1 or something. And while that was happening for about an hour, I was apparently sitting out of one game on his in front of him while I was in another one. So he knew I was there, but obviously the table hadn't popped or whatever. And he did message me to say, get back in, Dave.
Nice.
So some people are nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just not you.
So what's your thoughts about this? We get a small blind min raise, and we got ace deuce suited.
Call, raise, or shove are all fine options.
Yeah, I think they're all good.
Folding is just the only thing we can't do, obviously.
Well, hello.
It's like you've rehearsed this as a comedy bit. Well done, lads.
I didn't actually have that planned, but it was perfect. It was.
I think calling probably on this table would be my preferred option because I feel like we have a fairly big edge over most of the players here, so we don't necessarily need to take the variance of shoving and hoping he doesn't have a hand or he doesn't make a bad call. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't have folded there.
I'm not sure why I folded these last two hands. I should be continuing to put the pressure on the small stacks.
Yeah, I agree. Like they're both overfolding. I feel like they're trying to wait each other out or something.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we get called off here. Maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe they even fold those hands if we shove. It's hard to know. Also, their stacks are so short now that their bounties are actually starting to become kind of significant relative to their stacks.
Right. Yeah, and man, no, you're right. We I already covered that. Yeah, those were crappy, both crappy folds there.
We learn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. From the hijack.
Open.
Yeah.
We can call the two shorter stacks, and we can fold to the two bigger stacks. We have a blocker. The only time I would fold this is if, say, the the small blind was a lunatic and he was just rejamming all the time, then that would force me to fold. But otherwise, I'd go ahead and open.
Yeah, and he hasn't really been much of a lunatic. So
yeah, you can see we actually have the best hand as well. So yeah, you generally don't want to be folding the best hand.
Yeah, no, I can certainly identify a lot of spots where I'm not in pots I should be involved in for sure.
And I think if there's one common theme we can go with on this, Lyle, just obviously a small sample size of one final table, is that it never goes the other way with you. So if you have anything to work on, even just based on this small sample, I would say it is looking for situations where you can get involved profitably, and because you're probably not passing, you're probably not taking any you shouldn't.
Right. Okay, fair enough. I appreciate that. That's I do feel like I feel like one of the reasons that my results have improved a little bit over the last couple of weeks as well is because I do feel like I've been better at identifying the spots where I can put in a 3-bet, and it looks like it's going to get through.
Sure.
And things like that. And I feel like I've been getting a lot more pots that way rather than. And when I was doing so badly, I felt like in a lot of cases it was because I was taking the pots to showdown. And I mean, this is obviously going to sound like really, really basic to you guys, but you actually win your money when the hands don't go to showdown, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
For sure.
So I need to look more at that and being able to identify those spots on the flop when I can take it away.
Ant-Man says in chat that you've been playing your draws more aggressively than passively recently. So it does sound like you've identified something there to improve upon.
Cool. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would say as well that like at these levels that if you are making a mistake in either direction in terms of being too tight passive or too loose aggressive, you'll actually do better by being on the tight passive side, because other people are just making so many mistakes that you can kind of sit around and wait for very good situations. So it's like it's not the worst thing in the world. There's still obviously areas for improvement, but this is actually a winning style at these stakes for sure.
Cool. Alrighty, well let's zip forward a little bit. See what we've. Don't need to run through this. So Queen Jack under the gun in a 5-handed spot.
Yeah, I like this open. Again, like we don't really have blockers here, but it's a decent hand, and we know what to do if we get shoved on. So,
and we c-bet this all the time, I think.
Not 100%, but I definitely c-bet this one.
Yeah, like it's different. The big blind calls is different, but when the small blind calls, I think he has a lot of ace-x in his range. Okay. Now, the fact that we have a club and we have a running straight possibility with King 10, I think that would tip me towards c-betting. But I can certainly imagine there are some hands that have like no backdoor equity at all that I would just sort of not bother betting.
Right. Okay.
I think you had a call here in the big blind. Had the button gone with it? Now it's an interesting one, obviously a bit deeper with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 bigs effective. Spurs has a question. He says, if there are two short stacks at the final table, one of the short stacks jams his 15 big blinds into your similar stack, what is your calling off range? I think this is a tricky question because it depends on where in the final table you're at, what the pay jumps are, just how short everyone is exactly. Dara's the best at ICM here, I'd imagine. And Lappin's better than me for sure, so I'm not the one to answer this one.
Yeah, the general principle is you have to be wider against the other short stack, because there's a sort of a double whammy of winning against them, and they're obviously the player who's likely to have the widest jamming range as well. So it depends on how extreme the ICM is. Like in satellites, generally it gets to the spot where when the other short stack shoves, if you're both significantly shorter than the other people, you should actually be calling slightly wider than he's shoving. Otherwise, you're just giving him too many profitable spots. On a normal final table, you can't go quite that wide, but you should still go relatively wide. So kind of if you have a hand you think is decently ahead, like ahead 55% of the time, 55-60%, it becomes a call.
This would be an interesting 3-bet.
Yeah, I was actually, that's why I paused it, was I was curious to hear what you guys think. I'm actually not sure what I do here. Just to
I think
answer.
this is a spot where you can kind of lean on the guy. You've played pretty honest. Your 3-bet percentage is super low from what we've seen on this table. I think if you make it like 65 here, which is a relatively small 3-bet, you can easily fold if he shoves. You can easily call off the other guy who's shallow and go for his bounty if he goes with his hand. And it's just got the nice kind of blockers that you want to have with the light 3-bet.
Yeah, I think it's also strong enough to call, actually. I think we can call and just play in position against the other guy, because he has the same problems post-flop as pre-flop, because we cover him. So
I probably mix. Sometimes I'll call, sometimes I'll 3-bet, depending on how I feel about other players.
Depending on how often he folds the 3-bets and how he plays post-flop. Like if he's maniacal post-flop, then maybe calling isn't the best, because he'll c-bet this board and we won't know what to do. But if he's very, very cautious, we're probably better off just flatting pre-flop, and he'll check a lot and we can just win.
So just to answer Mick DeMod there in chat, I actually do find at my level, when I'm streaming, I'm trying to explain to my chat what my thought process is, and that actually makes me think a lot more deeply about the hands than I do when I'm just playing by myself without any audience. So I personally think it helps my game. I can totally see how there's a certain point in your game, though, where it may not be helping your game to try to stream at the same time and have people see what you're doing. I'm still at the stage where I don't really think I'm giving away. I think I'm gaining more from the explanation and from the help in chat than I'm ever giving away, frankly.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
Well, Ian, you could speak with more authority on this than either Dara or I, in terms of the sort of trade-off there.
There's definitely a trade-off, because you've got to sort of work with OBS. You've got to answer questions from chat, and don't get me wrong, I love that kind of stuff, but it does sometimes mean I lose a bit of time thinking, which is obviously valuable. So, and the regs on Unibet can change their alias, and I don't, because obviously it's it's part of my promotion of Unibet. Here I am. Here's Unibet Poker. Here's me. So all the regs know my game pretty well because they can watch, whereas I don't know the regs because they're disguised.
Yeah,
sure.
So I would have opened the king nine suited on the button, by the way.
Yeah, I think I probably should have as well.
And I'd have opened this ace-8 offsuit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we're basically cut off here. It can feel kind of deceptively that we're still in early position, but we're four-handed, so when we're under the gun, we're also cut off.
And we should definitely defend this, no matter what happens, I think. Well, I guess it...
Yeah, we probably should be shoving this, I think, to be honest, Lyle, no matter what happens. Like, the only scenario where I wouldn't call is if it goes all in and call.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Yeah, I call it off here. This is we're going to be dominating so much here.
Just want to say thank you for the follows we've got today, Evolution Poker and 2015 on. I think I call this off. I hope I call this off.
I hope you call this off.
Oh, I folded. No. How do I fold there?
Oh, you've just... Ian's distraught now.
Yeah,
he's not going to recover from this.
I really wished I called that off.
This is a tricky spot. I would limp here, I think.
Yeah, limping nice.
Yeah, I'm really worried about getting involved with the big stack at this point, and ending up fourth at this point, I think, is part of my thought process.
Yeah, but again, the problem is if we keep folding like we are going to just blind down, so unless we keep getting dealt a lot of big hands.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, speaking to mindset, Lyle, it does seem like if there is, again, one consistent pattern here, it's that you are looking for reasons not to get involved rather than perhaps proactively looking for reasons to get involved.
I think Dave has just hit the nail on the head with my playstyle. Yeah.
But it's great to be able to, even in a short space of time here, what have we watched? Like maybe 80 hands. Like in that space of time, we've been able to make a judgment of that nature, which is hopefully something you can take away then.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I think it's a judgment that is very accurate based on all the other plays you guys haven't seen yet, and I'm sure everybody in chat who's familiar with watching me on a regular basis is nodding their head, going, "Yep, David's just nailed it."
Like, I like what Dara said earlier about how, a default strategy at this stake level is definitely erring on the side of tighter. I think that's, in general, a very good rule. And I think in general, that will manifest itself as being maybe 2 pips tighter. Certainly 1 pip tighter would make sense in all spots. You are finding yourself in maybe 3 to 4 pip territory a lot here, where I think you are compelled to get involved.
Yeah. No, and
it also shows another gear. Like, at this point now, four-handed, a lot of people won't be used to playing as much short-handed poker on final tables or whatever. So your ability to step up a gear now and play a bit more pots, actually, this wouldn't be the worst time to move away from that default tighter strategy and actually play a tiny bit looser now. This would be a perfect time to switch that gear.
Makes good sense. Yeah, and admittedly, my shorthanded game is pretty weak. I don't play a lot of heads up sit and goes, so I don't get that sort of action. And obviously, the only other time you get shorthanded is when you get to the end of a tournament, right? So.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, come back from the break with a pair of kings, and we got 3 people in the pot.
How much is the question?
Yeah, I like being a little braver and not going as big as you might always. And okay, well, that's big.
Yeah, that was probably bigger than I should have. I was going
to say, like, a normal, if we're all playing quite deep there, a normal sizing might be like 4.5, 4.7x, something like that. But I do like being a little braver in this spot because of, it being a gift from the gods there. Again, Dara might say, hence the opportunity to lose with kings. But I think, there's a lot of spots where, he doesn't even have the overcard when he limps there. And actually, if you can get him to even call a 3.3x sort of there, you're getting a lot of chips in here with a very strong hand.
Right. So I think part of what my thought is here is I've got, 18 big blinds, 19 big blinds, something like that right there. And I feel in this spot like any sort of open other than a shove looks weird.
I don't think they're thinking on that level.
No? Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I think you've got a guy there who's limped who may just have Queen Jack. And if you make it like 44K, he'll call. And when he flops 1 pair, you get all of it.
Yeah,
makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
Even at the mid stakes, I think that's true. Let alone the smaller stakes.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Good to know. Good to think about.
There's another aspect to it, which is also backing your own poker brain, making better decisions down the streets than the other guy will. So if you do make it 44 with the kings, and let's say you get a kind of difficult flop, maybe you get the 8, 9, 10 flop, and that looks like kind of an ugly one, you'll make a better decision on the flop on the turn than he will overall. So even if this is the occasion where unfortunately it backfires, live with yourself on that one and just be more willing to do the thing that will long term have more EV.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the other things that I feel like my game has changed a little bit in recent times is that it's weird. I've switched to playing in. You notice I'm in chip count on this one. Since this tournament, I switched over to playing in big blind mode all the time.
Pause this hand, Elron, just while you finish your thought.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And in the big blind mode, one of the things I find is I'm far less concerned when I lose a pot in the mid or later stages of the tournament. In chip mode, I'm looking at 300,000 chips going away from my stack into somebody else, or 100,000 chips, or 60,000, or whatever it is, right? It's a large number in the thousands. But because the big blind mode always stays the same, I'm only looking at 4 big blinds or 8 big blinds or whatever, and it's a far less psychologically damaging thing for me, I found. So I actually I'm much better able to deal with the small pot losses than I was before when I was playing in chip mode. So I like the big blind mode a lot.
Well, to be completely brutal with you, Lyle, in that spot, then my advice is twofold. Either do the thing. If you're so precious that that's something that is important and does help you psychologically going forward, then definitely do the thing which makes it easier, or just like pull yourself together.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Lappin with his trademark diplomacy.
So I think Ian wanted to make a comment about this hand that's happening here. Should we go back a bit, Ian?
Yeah, if you go to as the hand was developing.
All right, so let's move forwards. There we go. Okay, so we got a limp.
Fold. So again, so if you pause here, so it's we have a pretty darn good hand here.
Yeah.
For 400 poker, I'm definitely gonna want to put in a raise. 4 times the blind, expecting him to call with worse hands a lot, and just playing a decent sized pot with a range advantage, and a hand that works really well post flop.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. And I choose not
Similarly,
to do that.
if we had done this the previous time with the Kings as well, and now we've done it twice in a row, sometimes guys get a bit antsy there. We also get a really bad flopper hand.
Yeah, I pretty much shut down, I think, at this flop. Although I technically pair on the river, but it's still obviously 4 diamonds out there.
It could be important.
Yeah, and it, Turns out neither of us had a diamond, but he was still better. But you're right. If I raise that, I probably take that down pre-flop.
Yeah, we've got to see the types of hands he's limping now. It's not unusual for it to be that type of hand: Queen Jack off, Queen 9 suited.
Yeah, I feel like I should definitely open this one as well. And I do actually.
Good. Yeah, easy game.
Good. And that's a reward for staying active there. It's also something that you may notice. I know we're anonymous on Unibet, but maybe because you use the same avatars a lot, people will recognize you. If you do suddenly introduce that like 2 pips wider opening ranges in all situations kind of game plan, and a propensity to raise more than just flat, or a propensity to raise more than sometimes making very nitty folds, you're going to get them through an awful lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people are already adjusted to your previous style.
Yeah, for sure. So Jack 3, what do we? Would you guys defend there or just fold?
Not for the 4x.
Not for 4x, no.
Okay.
2.5x, yeah, probably 3x. Probably going to start forcing me to fold.
Yeah, I like that line in.
Can someone Twitch clip that?
I can see it being manipulated and used in different contexts.
Yeah.
Let's move forwards a little bit here.
Did you find yourself a table there?
No, not yet. Actually, I won't say the name, but another Irish player doing the same thing. Table selected, and the table that they thought they were moving to, a random player got moved in, and they got thrown onto a table of beasts with call shrines.
And it's tricky. You can't make the call when there's like 6 of them in there and go, that looks really soft. You kind of have to be brave and make it when there's 4.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is ever going to be a call with Queen 5 here. No. Don't
even consider it. With ICM, we actually need to be reasonably tight here. Like, I wouldn't even love calling off something like Queen 10. So,
but this should be an open shove, I think.
Yeah, this is definitely a profitable shove.
Love it. Really nice.
Unfortunately, we run into it, but again, like, we have 40% here. So
yeah, and we get lucky. We hit the.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that. It's not even that lucky. Like, it's we have almost 40%. So.
And I think those are the spots where, in the past, I've been far too loose, or I mean far too tight, because I don't see that as a 40% equity spot. I see that as a 10 and an 8.
I have two worse cards.
Yeah, I have two crappy cards, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's deceptive, and I think that's one of the reasons why people get upset about, in inverted commas, bad beats too, because they don't really understand the equities. Like even a 2-to-1 shot. Like if we were playing a dice game and I had to roll a 5 or 6 to win, and you got any of the other numbers, like it would be unlucky for you if I rolled a 5 or 6, but you probably wouldn't lose your mind over it.
No, it's going to happen pretty often.
Yeah, whereas when people lose a 2-to-1 in poker, they seem to think it's a lot unluckier than it actually is.
Yeah.
Another general piece of advice I remember being given by a friend of mine about 12 or 13 years ago, Tang Nguyen, he said to me, we collectively, speaking about us as a kind of a poker group of friends as we were, he said, we don't get it in bad often enough. And he was dead right. At the time, something had changed in the game where people were, a bit looser, a bit more willing to gamble and whatever. And the problem was we had kind of dug into this kind of very tight, nitty rock style. And in reality, the best way to figure out that 10-8 suited has a lot of equity in that spot is to shove it all the time and enjoy all the times you bad beat someone, and you start developing a much more positive association with it.
That's a very twisted way to enjoy the game.
But if you only ever get it in the head, you can only ever be disappointed, and then you turn into one of those people who just complains about bad beats all the time.
Yeah.
If you're getting it in appropriately, you'll be dishing out at least as many bad beats as you're suffering.
Yeah, it's probably a bit big for the shove there.
No, it's fine.
No, okay.
I probably do prefer an overall game strategy where I open more hands, like you opened the 8-6 suited there. I'd probably, if I'm going to do that, I'm probably feeling like I have to open a hand like that rather than just lamp it.
I'm the same. Yeah, we can open because like the hands we're in trouble against a lot of them are not going to fold when we shove. So we might as well give ourselves the chance to get away from just two big blinds when there is a ace jack, ace queen type hand out there, and it'll still work a lot as a steal because people are looking for a hand.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. So would this be a call defend? Would this be a re-raise? I think I can put pressure on his stack a lot.
Perfect.
Call seems perfect?
Call seems best, yeah. Like we're getting 3.5 to 1. We're in position. Just call.
Which of course I didn't, but
yeah. Like the problem with our strategy here is when we're folding a hand is like as strong as Jack 8, which is almost an average hand, means we're folding over 50% of the time, or close to 50% of the time. So he can just do that all the time with any two cards, and he's basically auto-profiting.
That makes good sense. And we should actually be putting more pressure on the table now that we've got all the chips.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice little spot here.
He's going to put chips in the pot a lot here, so that's a great spot for you.
Yeah, well, he has been min-raising or doing that as well.
So it's actually a strong likelihood he's going to call it off here. If he's willing to put 3 in, he might well put the lot in here with pocket 9s or 8s or something.
Yeah, there's so much out there as well that even getting to folds a 1-over card hand is pretty good.
Yeah. So I didn't shove there. I just put in I think I put in a 3/4 bet pot.
Yeah, I mean, functionally it's the same because it's not like we're folding.
Yeah, and it's not like he's ever calling here. He's either folding or reshoving, right? Is generally his move.
Yeah.
It should be his move.
Should be. I mean, it just if he calls, we're just going to go with our hand on any flop anyway. So yeah, it's all the same.
It's having a good old think. So you probably are up against a small pair, or maybe a king 10 suited or something. I don't know, something.
Or else he's Hollywooding with his 7 deuce.
Yeah.
Or maybe that. Okay, another premium. So again, hard to see us not get chips into this pot here. Definitely look to induce here. Hopefully we would construct a range of raise folds, so we would have raise calls too. Yeah.
So
Definitely make it a bit bigger though.
I would go bigger, yeah. Now he's getting too good a price to call, but he just showed, so that's good.
Boom.
Nice turn.
And we just get there, yeah.
Easy game.
Yeah, that was kind of rash from him considering how often we folded the small blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we raise there, he should be putting us on a pretty big hand, I would think, given our play style.
Yeah, the way we've been playing, just I wouldn't have been loving 10-9 there.
Amazing spot now to create a race for second place between these guys. Obviously, putting more pressure on the bigger stack of the two, and maybe even taking a little bit of pressure off the other guy can sometimes work very well for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I don't think I'm going to be playing this as aggressively as you guys think I should be. So we're probably going to be having a lot of spots where I should be opening and I'm not.
Okay.
I'm going to guess 6-8 on the button here is probably something I should have raised as well.
No, I'm happy enough to let those types of hands go.
Okay.
But like any high card hand or anything suited, any pair, obviously.
Yeah, call for a big blind.
I might let this one go, to be honest. This guy.
I would definitely call.
You call as well?
Just such an amazing price, and like if we hit a pair, we're going to be good nearly always.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe I'm locked into thinking anybody who mins off a 7 big blind stack at that spot has probably got.
Yeah, he's been doing it, and he actually folded off a 3x before, so I feel like he's just opening all the time from small blind.
This makes a good raise.
That should have been a raise, yeah.
There, yeah.
Especially just because the guy who folds the button is so short, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on freeze, like Lappin was saying, make them race to get second place, put the pressure on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I think at this stage, I sort of was letting myself play the cards, which is probably not what I need to be doing. I need to be putting more pressure on.
Yeah. In the right spots, but yeah.
Yep. Should find a raise with that as well, I think. So we got about 15 minutes left of this final table, just so you guys know.
That bodes well for the chip leader.
Yeah. So I think we check and see a flop here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess I shoved it. Oh, no. I thought of shoving it, and then I checked.
He checks. This is definitely a nice hand to bet. We pick up some decent equity on turn cards. I like it. Take our stab here when he checks.
Would you bet bigger or just the one big blind is good?
That's the minimum, absolute minimum. I bet smaller than a big blind if they'd let me. Again, I'd be kind of taking a policy of limp stabbing these ones. Again, almost exactly the same situation there where you've got the potentially very good turn cards.
Yeah.
This isn't a terrible turn.
And I think I did stab there, yeah.
Good. So, right idea, just do it a street earlier.
I think we can profitably shove this, but raising as an overall strategy is always kind of a bit more deft and subtle, and I like it more.
Mm.
Ian, thank you for the subscription.
Okay, I do love a shove now. Okay.
Oh, that was a gift from who gifted that?
Did somebody gift us up?
20150N. Yeah, thank you very much for the sub gift.
Thank you for
Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for the gift sub.
I don't know what any of those things you just said meant. Back to the action.
Basically, the tip jar got $5 thrown into it.
Oh, nice. It was actually technically thrown in when I was talking. So do I get a?
Yeah.
You get nothing.
So pretty good spot here. Obviously, I would have probably just lamped it in given the limp with that kind of hand, but obviously we flopped very well too, so that's all worked out nicely. Hopefully he doesn't have the jack. Hopefully he doesn't have a better king. Limping range is a bit weird here to know what he even has, to be honest. It's kind of confusing. Oh dear. Oh, that works.
Yeah, that was my oh my god, the king came on the river hand.
So we do know that our shove would have worked, which is nice to know that we could have maybe made that move profitably here. That it wasn't like his limping range off that stack was traps. It was a lot of random middly cards too. And now we get to see you play heads up. That's cool.
Yeah, now we see heads up, and I'm sure that my heads up, like I say, I do not have a ton of experience with heads up, so I'm not. I don't really know what my spots are. I don't really know what hands I should be going with. So.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be pretty sticky heads up. You're forced into playing.
This is one of the few ones you can fold. Don't mind that. Don't mind folding the 5 deuce and the 4 deuce and 3 deuce. Okay. We'll forgive you those. You can fold the 9 deuce probably just about here as well, even for the min. So I'm sure we'll find some nice cards soon. So limping option, raising's okay.
Yeah, I think both options are viable. I think before we sort of even look at our cards, heads up, we want to decide how often are we going to be limping, if we're going to be limping, how often are we going to be min-raising, if we're going to be min-raising. Make the decision almost before we see our cards. When they're at this stack depth, I probably limp a lot and play a lot of pots post-flop, unless I think my opponent doesn't play enough hands. In that case, I'll probably just raise every time I want to put money in.
Right.
Looks like you got a question there, Elron. How long have you been playing poker?
Piano Cat. I've been playing poker for about 10 years now, actually. I guess almost exactly 10 years. I started in 2010 to take it seriously. Like as a younger person, I played poker as a lark at like bachelor parties and stuff, but never serious poker, and never really thought about the game as anything other than a random gambling card game. And it wasn't until 2010 that I really started to realize that there was more to it than just random cards.
How did you enjoy your trip to Europe there just before the lockdowns? You timed it well.
Yeah, it was great.
Great timing.
I timed it well. I can remember I was sitting at the Heathrow airport on the Tuesday when I flew out, watching the TVs that they've got all around the airport as BBC News was talking about how your health minister was saying you're going to lock down in 2 weeks. As I'm sitting at the airport, and I'm thinking, I'm getting out of this at just the right time. I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, I ended up having to isolate when I got home because my flight was infected.
Oh, shit.
So I didn't. I'm pretty sure that I'm fine. I had mild symptoms, but none of the main symptoms of the COVID, and they passed within a couple of days. So I think I'm fine. But you know,
just normal UK casino bug. So
yeah, exactly. Casino virus. I mean, it's I never come away from these live tournaments without something if I handle the chips. So
yeah, I probably just 3-bet jam this hand rather than a small 3-bet raise.
I was sort of hoping to induce and call off because I figured King 10's pretty strong heads up and it's callable, but
I probably want a stronger hand to induce with. Personally.
Fair enough. Yep. As I guess it heads up, if he is going to come over top of that, I know the King 10 is probably not in great shape.
Depends how wild he is, I guess.
Yeah, true. So this is one where I've got a gut shot, but I decided not to go with it because I mean it's only 4 outs, right? So, and I don't think I'm good if I hit any of my pairs there. Another gut shot. I think I bet this one. I think.
Yeah, certainly more fun to stab the good shots than it is to call with them.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, there's other ways we can win. Like we backdoor as well around the 9. So. This is one of the few I'd probably just let go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the 7, 8, 9 deuce type hands.
Yeah, understandably.
I would call there though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to play a lot of pots heads up.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I notice when I'm watching stuff like this is that I fold way more heads up than other people do. But I also think he's folding a lot more than.
Yeah, he does seem to be. Again, that might be just because of his perception of you. That because he thinks you're very tight when you do play, he's going to fold more than you would against other people.
If we think that, then we should probably be min raising
more often.
Yeah,
a lot more often. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I think I started to figure that out, and I think I started to put in more pre-flop.
This hand would be, if he's folding too much, this is a perfect hand to min raise.
Yeah. Agreed.
I think I was pretty happy to go with this one when I flopped a pair.
Nice hand.
Yeah, I could put in the min raise. That might actually be one that I want to even call instead of raising there, because I've got
don't hate that either.
Yeah,
with this stack, I don't hate that.
Both options are fine. Yeah.
My 1 million chip option. That's the downside to playing.
Nice.
That's the downside to playing the big blind mode is you never get to see your 1 million chips, right?
Yep. Want that million. Yeah. Good stop here. Takes it down. Easy peasy. Easy fold.
Easy fold. Yep. Although I was talking about whether I was going to Doyle him and this on the Doyle, but then I had to helpfully explain that, of course, Doyle did not call off a shove with 10 deuce. It was an entirely different spot.
He made outs a couple of times, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the river wanted to do it, right?
Yeah, I think he called him in raise though.
Yeah.
Or a small raise.
Yeah, I think one of the hands he raised and got called and then hit it.
That's right, yeah.
And then the other one he called him in raise and hit it.
I didn't know they min raised in the 80s. I thought it was always 3, 4, and 5x.
Dara was miles ahead of the curve on that stuff.
Yeah. So 5-4 suited. I mean, I don't really think it's call off, but
no.
We would
Rules reversed, we could shove it, but we can't.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a fine shove, but like we only have 40% most of the time. Sometimes we're in even worse shape. So
yeah.
We could probably just about shove this as well, but
I don't mind a min raise as an exploit though if he's folding.
Yeah. He does seem to be over folding, so it's definitely a fold now because if we wanted to get it, if we wanted to get it in, we should just get it in first. It's not an induce.
Yeah, I think I'd raise there mostly as a steal opportunity, and once he shows interest, I'm out of the hand.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And now we're starting to get quite a few folds from him to us, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, we're taking more than our fair share of pots with these min raises.
Yeah, this is a call now.
So now we got him.
Yeah. Good luck, us.
I'm not sure this is the one, to be honest.
Oh, press the yellow button. Press the yellow button, everyone.
He's only got like king 9. We get to win.
Queen
50
Jack 10 suited.
Yeah, no, I was too nitty there. So would you guys say pretty much any ace in that spot?
Oh, we got a jack as well. Like
ace deuce, maybe not, but any other ace, yeah.
That's not a call in 7-8.
Mhm.
Shove this.
Shove, yeah.
Don't like min raise folding this one because we end up folding a lot of equity. So I just jam and make sure I realize all my equity and I still get all my fold equity. Because this is so sad having to fold here.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense. So shoving those hands rather than planning to raise fold.
Yeah. Same situation.
Same.
Yeah.
You switch to limps. Oh my.
Although this is a good plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good plan B is when you limp and hit. That's a great.
I like slow playing as we've been playing throughout the tournament because I think our bets are going to look stronger than. I think your bet is going to look stronger than what my bet would look like.
Yeah.
Because you've been sort of on the tighter side.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually why I checked those trip sixes there, is because I was hoping he'd bet into me.
Yeah.
I think I just let this one go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Could just jam this.
Yeah.
Probably still have the best hand.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think.
Oh man, what is
Until
this?
he shoved.
I don't think we can be that big a hero, even though we're possibly good. Right? Although he hasn't limped much, so maybe he was limp trapping and then panicked.
Yeah, panic with jacks or something.
Mm.
I'll probably call there. Happy to pay a big blind.
Yeah, I tend to ignore those offsuit mid-range hands like that.
A big problem for you here, Elron, heads up, is because you don't adopt a limping strategy, you're failing to play as many hands as we would want to, particularly in position.
Yeah.
So by having a limping strategy that's balanced, we get to use position a lot. And heads up, our opponent's just going to whiff a lot of flops, and we get to win a lot of those. We get to float sometimes as they start leading into us and all that kind of good stuff. So unfortunately, because you seem to be locked into a raise or fold strategy, the hands aren't making the grade.
Makes sense.
And you're floating away a lot.
Yeah, makes sense. We checked down to the river here, and I figured I couldn't win without a bet, so we just took a stab at it.
Yeah, nice job. I think the stop here is great. Yeah.
And I think this is where I started to realize that I could.
You could maybe run over a bit.
Yeah, I could maybe just run over him at this point.
So again, this would make a perfectly good limp and essentially wouldn't put that much into the pot, but it also, within your kind of framework here, definitely must qualify as a raise.
Yeah.
And you know, these min raises are working a lot, so there's benefit to this other strategy. I'm just kind of illustrating the downside to it. Oh, here we go. Lovely.
And I think this is where it all ends.
Well, very well played.
So there we go.
Well done, sir.
Nice one.
Thank you. So I mean, I think we obviously got dealt the hands when we needed them, and I 100% am taking your guys' advice on the fact that I'm not active enough in a lot of the spots, especially as we get shorthanded.
Yeah.
Well, the good news for you is you are consistently too tight,
Right.
so you can. It's not like you're random, and it's kind of like, you know, some spots you're playing too loose, some spots you're playing too tight, some spots you're being too passive. It's a very consistent theme, so it's something you can definitely just like work on all at once.
No, that makes sense. Thank you very much, guys, for coming out and do this. I really appreciate this.
Very welcome, dude. Our pleasure.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a ton of value out of it. I'm sure the people in chat have gotten a ton of value out of it as well. So much appreciated. Thank you very much, guys. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thanks to everybody who came out and chat as well.
Yeah, thank you, chat. I'll be seeing you all soon, I'm sure.
Are you back on stream again tomorrow, Ian?
I will be, yeah. From
Excellent.
5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on naps and Adeline and how things go. So.
Fucking naps.
All right, cool. Well, take care, dude.
Alrighty, thanks a lot.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.